Vanessa Trump, the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., is sharing a personal health update with her longtime supporters, revealing she has been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Most people know her as the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr. Some know her as Tiger Woods' girlfriend. But almost nobody knows what this woman has actually survived over the last 8 years. And what happened to her in May of 2026, just 7 days after her boyfriend came home from rehab, changed everything. At 48 years old, the tragedy of Vanessa Trump is beyond heartbreaking. The diagnosis nobody saw coming. Just 7 days before Vanessa made her announcement, her boyfriend, Tiger Woods, had stepped off a plane at Palm Beach International Airport after spending 40 days inside a rehab facility in Zurich, Switzerland. He was wearing black long sleeves, sunglasses, gray shorts, and a compression sleeve on his left leg. He looked like a man who had been through something serious. And he had been. Tiger had been arrested on March 27, 2026, after his Land Rover flipped over on a 2-lane road on Jupiter Island, Florida. He had tried to pass a pressure cleaning truck, clipped it, and rolled the vehicle. When deputies arrived, they found him sweating heavily in the back of a patrol car with bloodshot eyes and extremely dilated pupils. 2 hydrocodone pills were found in his pocket. His breathalyzer showed no alcohol, but he refused a urine test. He was charged with driving under the influence, property damage, and refusing to submit to testing. Now think about where Vanessa was during all of this. She had just watched her boyfriend kiss her before the TGL finals on March 24th. 3 days later, he was in handcuffs. And while Tiger flew to Switzerland for treatment on April 3rd, Vanessa stayed behind in Jupiter with her 5 children, attended her daughter Kai's high school graduation, and kept her composure in front of the cameras at every single public event she showed up to. Sources told People magazine that Vanessa and Tiger spoke nearly every day during his rehab stay. He reportedly gave her a day-by-day account of what he was doing, and she asked questions and stayed engaged. When he came home on May 13th, insiders said the two were still very much in love and happy to see each other. And then 1 week later, Vanessa shared her own devastating news. She posted a statement on Instagram that read, in part, "I have recently been diagnosed with breast cancer. While this is not news anyone expects, I am working closely with my medical team on a treatment plan." She thanked her doctors for performing a procedure on her earlier that week and said she was staying focused and hopeful while surrounded by the love and support of her family. The comments flooded in. Ivanka Trump, her former sister-in-law, wrote, "Praying for your continued strength and a swift recovery. Love you, Mama." Tiffany Trump liked the post, and Vanessa's oldest daughter, Kai, who is 19 years old, posted a photo of the two of them smiling together on her Instagram story with the caption, "Strongest person I know. Love you." And if you are sitting there thinking this is just one bad year for Vanessa Trump, you have no idea how deep this goes. Because the truth is, this woman's life has been defined by moments where she had to hold herself together when everything around her was falling apart. And it started long before Tiger Woods ever entered the picture. The Upper East Side girl who never needed the Trumps. Vanessa was born Vanessa K. Pergolizzi on December 18, 1977, in Manhattan. Her biological father was Italian-American. Her mother, Bonnie K. Hayden, was of Danish and Swedish descent and ran a Manhattan modeling agency called K Models. When Vanessa was about 11 years old, her mother married a New York attorney named Charles Hayden, and Vanessa took his last name. She grew up on the Upper East Side, attended the Dwight School on the Upper West Side, played tennis, and studied psychology at Marymount Manhattan College. She was signed to her mother's modeling agency as a child, then moved up to Wilhelmina Models, and eventually Next Model Management. She walked the Australian Fashion Week in Sydney in 1998 and was considered one of the most promising young faces in New York. But here is where things get interesting, and this is something most people do not know. Before she ever met a single Trump, Vanessa had already lived a life that most people would not believe. She dated a Latin Kings gang member named Valentin Rivera, starting in the 5th grade. Page 6 later surfaced a handwritten letter she sent him in prison in December of 1993, where she wrote about missing him and looking forward to his release. She was tabloid-linked to Leonardo DiCaprio at a movie premiere party in 1998, although his publicist denied they were dating. And from 1998 to 2001, she dated a Saudi prince named Khalid bin Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, whose father was the Saudi ambassador to the United States. That relationship ended after September 11th, when Khalid's family came under scrutiny and he left the country. So when people try to paint Vanessa as just some quiet model who married into the Trump family and had no identity of her own, that could not be further from the truth. This was a woman who had already navigated the most exclusive circles in New York before Donald Trump Sr. ever walked up to her at a fashion show. And speaking of that fashion show, the way Vanessa met Donald Trump Jr. is one of those stories that sounds made up, but is completely real. Two Donalds and a Mar-a-Lago wedding. In 2003, Donald Trump Sr. was at the height of his fame as the host of The Apprentice. He walked up to Vanessa at a fashion show in New York with his son, Donald Jr., standing right beside him, and introduced the two of them. Vanessa smiled, said hello, and thought that was the end of it. But about 5 minutes later, Trump Sr. walked right back over with his son again and introduced them a second time, because he had completely forgotten he had already done it. And honestly, that moment tells you everything you need to know about how the Trump family operates. The father was so focused on making connections that he could not even remember the ones he had made 5 minutes earlier. Vanessa did not think much of it at the time, but about 6 weeks later, she ran into Don Jr. again at a birthday party through a mutual friend. She later told the New York Times in 2006 that when she spotted him across the room, she remembered him as the one with the retarded dad. They ended up talking for an hour that night and started dating shortly after. And if we are being real, that might be the most accidentally honest quote anyone connected to the Trump family has ever given to a reporter. In November of 2004, Don Jr. proposed with a $100,000 diamond ring that he did not pay a single cent for. The New Jersey jeweler Bailey Banks and Biddle gave him the ring for free in exchange for staging the proposal in front of paparazzi outside their store at the mall at Short Hills. The New York Post roasted him for it, calling him the cheapest gazillionaire. And look, you can say what you want about the Trump family, but getting your engagement ring through a paparazzi publicity stunt is wild, no matter how much money your father has. The wedding took place on November 12, 2005, at Mar-a-Lago, in front of about 370 guests. The ceremony was officiated by Don Jr.'s aunt, Judge Mary Ann Trump Berry. Vanessa's former modeling agent later said that on her wedding night, Vanessa told her she hoped to have 5 children. And that is exactly what she did. A secret affair and a $62 million jar of marinara sauce. Between 2007 and 2014, Vanessa and Don Jr. had 5 children. Kai was born in May of 2007, followed by Donald III in February of 2008, Tristan in October of 2011. Spencer in October of 2012, and Chloe in June of 2014. While Don Jr. worked 14-hour days at the Trump Organization, Vanessa stayed largely out of the spotlight. Vanity Fair called her the most sensible Trump. She ran a luxury handbag line called La Pochette from 2010 to 2013 and made a handful of television appearances on shows like The Oprah Winfrey Show and The Apprentice. But behind the scenes, the marriage was fracturing. According to Page Six and Us Weekly sources, Don Jr. allegedly had an affair with Danity Kane singer and Celebrity Apprentice contestant Aubrey O'Day during and after the show's 2011 taping. Vanessa reportedly discovered their emails in March of 2012 and confronted O'Day directly. A Page Six source described the moment by saying Vanessa went completely off on her, and that O'Day was stunned by how aggressive and direct she was. The marriage was patched up after that, and Spencer and Chloe were both born afterwards. But the cracks never fully healed. Don Jr. has never publicly admitted to the affair, but O'Day herself has spoken about it multiple times, telling Page Six in December of 2022 that she loved him deeply and considered him her soulmate, but that she watched him choose a life she considered inauthentic. Now, here is the detail that changes everything about the divorce timeline. In 1992, Vanessa's stepfather, Charles Hayden, had invested $1 million in Rao's Specialty Foods for a 30% stake. Hayden passed away in 1995, and his share was left equally to Vanessa and her mother. When Rao's was acquired by Sovos Brands in June of 2017 for a reported $415 million, Vanessa and her mother split their family's approximately $125 million share. That means Vanessa personally received roughly $62 million before taxes. Her mother immediately bought Roger Ailes' former Fifth Avenue penthouse for $6.4 million in cash. And family law commentators later pointed out that this windfall is widely understood to be the moment Vanessa finally had the financial independence to walk away from the marriage. So the next time someone tells you Vanessa Trump is just some socialite who married rich and stayed quiet, remind them she inherited a pasta sauce fortune that gave her the power to leave on her own terms. That is not a woman who needed the Trump name. That is a woman who outgrew it. Then came another turning point, the white powder letter that changed her forever. On the morning of February 12, 2018, Vanessa opened an envelope at the family's Midtown Manhattan apartment that was addressed to her husband. A white powder spilt out and covered her face, hands, and clothing. She started coughing and feeling sick, called 911, and was rushed to the hospital along with 2 other adults from the apartment. Now imagine being a mother of 5 children, standing in your own home, and suddenly realizing you might have just been exposed to something that could kill you. Imagine the seconds between touching that powder and finding out whether it was anthrax or something harmless. Imagine spending the next 2 weeks on the antibiotic Cipro while investigators determined whether you were going to live or die. That is exactly what Vanessa went through. The powder turned out to be cornstarch, but she did not know that for 14 days. The FBI traced the letter to a 24-year-old man named Daniel Frisiello from Beverly, Massachusetts, who had sent similar envelopes to a senator, a law professor, a federal prosecutor, and a congressional candidate. He was arrested on March 1, 2018, pleaded guilty to multiple counts, and was sentenced in April of 2019 to 5 years of probation with the first year in home confinement. He received no prison time. Vanessa did not speak publicly about the incident until 8 months later, when she released a statement to Axios on October 26, 2018. and what she said was haunting. She wrote that while the investigators worked to identify whether the powder was deadly, she spent the entire time thinking about the horrifying possibility that she would never see her 5 beautiful children again. She called it a cowardly act against a mother, and said that even months later, every single time she opened the mail, she felt the same fear in her heart. And the timing of this incident makes it even worse. Exactly 1 month after the white powder letter, Vanessa filed for divorce. Walking away from the Trumps. On March 15, 2018, Vanessa filed for an uncontested divorce in the New York Supreme Court. The joint statement she and Don Jr. released said they would always have tremendous respect for each other and that their 5 children remained their top priority. Within 72 hours of the filing, the Aubrey O'Day affair reporting exploded across every tabloid in the country. And by April, Don Jr. was already publicly dating Fox News host Kimberly Guilfoyle. But Vanessa did something most people in her position would never do. Instead of going to war with her ex-husband in the press, she actually defended him. In June of 2018, when a New York Daily News column called for Guilfoyle's firing because of the relationship, Vanessa posted on Twitter that she and Don had been separated for over 9 months and that they respected each other's decisions and privacy. The divorce was finalized at the end of 2018. Vanessa moved the children to Jupiter, Florida, and went almost completely silent. For the next 6 years, her Instagram was filled with nothing but photos of her children, Kai's golf tournaments, and quiet family moments. She attended Donald Trump's second inauguration in January of 2025 with her children and showed up to multiple Trump family events. But she never once made herself the story. And that is what makes Vanessa Trump different from almost everyone else in that family's orbit. She had every reason to write a tell-all book or do a revenge interview or burn the whole thing down. She had the money, the platform, and the tabloid connections to destroy Don Jr.'s reputation if she wanted to. But instead, she moved to Florida, raised her 5 kids, and waited for life to give her a reason to smile again. Love is in the air, and then everything falls apart. Around Thanksgiving of 2024, Vanessa and Tiger Woods began dating quietly. They lived in the same Jupiter, Florida community, and their children attended the same school, the Benjamin School, where Kai overlapped with Tiger's kids, Sam and Charlie. On March 23, 2025, Tiger made the relationship Instagram official, posting a photo of the 2 of them together with the caption, "Love is in the air, and life is better with you by my side." President Trump told reporters in the Oval Office, "I love Tiger, and I love Vanessa. Let them both be happy." Ivanka Trump commented on the post saying how happy she was for both of them. For the first time in years, it felt like Vanessa had finally found something that was entirely hers. Through the TGL season at SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Vanessa and Kai were spotted courtside cheering Tiger on. On March 24, 2026, she kissed him before the TGL finals. It was the kind of moment that made you think maybe this story was heading toward a happy ending. 3 days later, Tiger rolled his Land Rover on Jupiter Island. 40 days in a Zurich rehab facility. A DUI charge hanging over his head with a court date set for July 7, 2026. And Vanessa, once again, holding everything together while the man in her life made headlines for all the wrong reasons. And then, on May 20th, 2026, 7 days after Tiger came home, Vanessa told the world she had breast cancer. At 48 years old, after surviving a white powder scare that left her thinking she might never see her children again, After a public divorce that played out across every tabloid in America, after 6 years of raising 5 children in near total silence, and after watching her boyfriend get arrested and sent to rehab, Vanessa Trump now has to fight the hardest battle of her entire life. And the thing that breaks your heart the most is that, through all of it, she has never once asked anyone for sympathy. She has never played the victim. She has never tried to make herself the center of attention. The only thing she has ever asked for is privacy. Kai Trump posted a photo of her mother on Instagram with the words, "Strongest person I know. Love you." And honestly, after everything we just talked about, it is hard to argue with that. What do you think about everything Vanessa Trump has been through? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is one story that deserves to be talked about.